on one particular occasion, the director of the establishment that we were hiring at said to me, we will be renovating the hall between such and such a date and such a date. You will need to find somewhere else. I thought, okay, that's a couple of months, 2 or 3 months even. And so there was a Lutheran church in the same street. So I went and saw the Lutheran pastor and I said, look, this is our situation. And he kindly allowed us to use the Lutheran church at least once every fortnight on a Sunday, and then the alternate week was Saturday night. And I thanked him very much for that, and that's what we did. And it was a quaint little church, Lutheran church. It had a balcony up the back, and it had an elevated pulpit. Have you ever preached in an elevated pulpit? Yeah, it's a real experience. So one Sunday I just went up there and preached from that, and everybody was sort of looking up at me like the old Protestants did. And anyway, on those the walls of that little chapel church were plaques that honoured the previous pastors of that church, but they were all dead. But they were being honoured by these plaques that they'd put all over the wall. Now there were more plaques on the wall than what now there were people in the congregation, because on a Sunday they would barely get 15 people in their congregation. So I'm thinking, boy, something here that I don't compute very well with. Around in that time, in that 3-month period, we had a trip planned back to Australia. So we came back to Australia, and one of the churches we visited was the Ipswich Church. Now the Ipswich Church, Catalyst Church, Denise and I planted that church back in January 1980. So we've got a bit of a history with that church, of course. And the then pastor was Philip Mutzelberg. It's his son Carl now that's the pastor. And Philip said to me, he said, after the service, he said, we've got a little surprise in store for you, Vince and Denise. And I said, oh, really? What's that? Oh, I can't tell you. I said, okay. So at the end of the service, you follow me. So at the end of the service, everybody gathered at the entrance of the church. And there was a big, big rock. And on the rock, there was a sheet that was draped over it. And then Philip spoke, and he said, look, we want to honour the founding pastors of our church. And so he lifted the veil off the rock, and there was a plaque with Vince and Denise Esterman on it. I looked at that and I said, well, thank you very much, folks. Yes, you've honoured us, thank you. Please understand that where I come from, you put the name of a pastor on a plaque when he's dead, and I'm far from dead. I'm not finished. And so what I'd like you to do is every year on this date to come by and to put some flowers out in front of the rock and say a little prayer for me. I must admit I was a bit ironical about that. But you see, we were not dead. We were very much alive. And you see, if you're dead, you can put your name up on a wall, but God can't deal with you anymore. You see, because you've become part of the past. And God today doesn't deal with his fathers, but with those who are here today, very much alive. So that's the problem with yesterday, because the traditional church loves yesterday. It loves the liturgical calendar. It loves the feast days. Suddenly, Jesus is more resurrected on Easter Sunday than what he is on the Sunday of Palm Sunday. Well, he's going to be resurrected next week. Yeah. Well, is he resurrected or is he going to be resurrected? Mm-hmm. Well, he's resurrected, but next week we'll really make sure that he is. Now, I grew up in a traditional church, and French Catholic, traditional Catholics, and Good Friday was the day of the year I hated. The understanding was Jesus suffered on that day will make you suffer. Oh. So in our family, with 6 kids, we were not allowed to watch TV on Good Friday. We had to eat fish on Good Friday. On Good Friday, we had to work in the garden all day. And on Good Friday, we had to go to church at 3 o'clock. And you couldn't enjoy yourself on Good Friday because Jesus suffered and died on Good Friday. It took me years to like fish after that experience. You know, and I was thinking, why? I mean, who says we've got to be sad on Good Friday? I mean, I'm glad on Good Friday, but I'm not sad on Good Friday. But this idea of being sad on Good Friday and sort of walking around, you know, a Christian with looks like he's just lost his grandmother. It's kind of like, you know, we've got to relive the past. We've got to relive Good Friday. Well, I am basking in what was achieved on Good Friday, but I'm not reliving Good Friday.